Conde-Pumpido maneuvers in the Constitutional Court so that Pedro Sánchez can continue governing without new budgets. Let's begin. Hello everyone and welcome to a new edition of Medidas Cautelares. And today we have to talk about another key figure in Pedro Sánchez's judicial plot. The president of the Constitutional Court, Conde-Pumpido, who I can already tell you is maneuvering in the Constitutional Court to declare it constitutional, so that Pedro Sánchez can continue governing without presenting new national budgets. Something that, on the other hand, is required by the Constitution, but that's what Pedro Sánchez's body, the President of the Constitutional Court, is there for. Conde-Pumpido in the Constitutional Court to say that what used to be constitutional is now unconstitutional, and what used to be unconstitutional is now constitutional. That's what Conde-Pumpido is there for, to serve Pedro Sánchez. We're going to share this information as always, showing it on screen, by the way, without a budget as usual. On screen. By the way, if you haven't done it yet, remember to subscribe to the Medidas Cautelares channel because our next goal is the Constitutional Court, Cándido Conde. We still have a little way to go, and now let's share this information. There you have on screen an image from Zarzuela. I'm moving forward. This is the information. There you have an image on screen. The Constitutional Court, Sánchez, Prime Minister. We also have Armengol, the President of Congress, Arroyano, President of the Senate, and looking straight ahead, looking at the camera, with that look, Arroyano, President of the Senate, and looking straight ahead, looking at the camera, well, with that budget. The President of the Constitutional Court, Conde-Pumpido, who since he arrived at the Constitutional Court has dedicated himself to doing whatever Sánchez needs, so he can keep governing basically, so Sánchez can stay in Moncloa, right? Pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. The President of the Constitutional Court, Conde-Pumpido, has created a working group to declare it constitutional. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez governs without presenting new national budgets. Last week, he announced the executive was starting the process to approve the 2027 general budgets, mistakenly saying 2007 first. The first budgets of the term after extending them since 2023. Do you believe it? Well, I don't believe he's going to manage to get the budgets through. Constitutional Court, Candido, you could extend them since 2023. Do you believe it? Well, I don't. Sánchez is maneuvering, governing, presenting the budgets for 2027. If he hasn't managed it during the whole legislature, he's not going to manage it now. Well, the full session of the Constitutional Court unanimously agreed months ago to admit it. During the whole legislature, he's not going to manage it now. Well, the full session of the Constitutional Court, Candido, as I mentioned, maneuvering in the Constitutional Court to declare, governing, presenting budgets. The court advanced. The PP is maneuvering against the Socialist executive for failing to fulfill its duty to present the budgets to the Parliament. Constitutional Court, Sánchez governing budgets. As we reported in Medidas Cautelares, Conde-Pumpido is maneuvering in the Constitutional Court to declare it constitutional, allowing Pedro Sánchez to govern without presenting new budgets. It should be remembered that Article 134.3 of the Spanish Constitution states that the government must submit to the Congress of Deputies the general budgets at least 3 months before the expiration of those of the previous year. Well, Pedro Sánchez has been governing here for 3 years without new budgets and nothing happens. In Spain, nothing happens. I don't know what else needs to happen for something to actually happen. Sources from the Constitutional Court that we have consulted at Medidas Cautelares and at Libertad Digital state that Conde-Pumpido has created a working group to study all the conflicts over powers presented by the PP and the Senate. This group, pay attention, is made up of left-wing legal advisors from the Constitutional Court who already participated back in the day. In another working group to endorse the constitutionality of the amnesty law of October 1st from Sánchez's government. Let me translate, so that Conde-Pumpido can endorse that it is constitutional to govern without new budgets, just as Pedro Sánchez is doing. He creates a working group, and in that group, with lawyers who are on his side, they are going to say what Conde-Pumpido wants them to say. That's it. See how simple it is. This group will study legal arguments to support it in the Constitutional Court. That the Socialist executive has not presented new general budgets for 3 years and can continue governing without it being unconstitutional. It is not ruled out that the final report may include a small warning to Sánchez without further consequences about the importance of approving the budgets. So, a little slap on the wrist, just a mild reprimand, right? Look, no, nothing happens if you don't present the budgets. It's not unconstitutional, but man, it's good to present them, okay? The same sources consulted recall that under Conde-Pumpido, he already endorsed the abuse of the decree law by the socialist government, the so-called Decretazo, which allows Sánchez to govern based on those decrees, bypassing parliamentary control. All of this under the pretext of a supposed urgency. Now, if the President of the Constitutional Court manages to push through an endorsement so that Sánchez can govern without approving the general budget, it would mean, we are told, the consolidation of an autocratic regime. And authoritarian in Spain, outside of democracy and the rule of law. The Senate, with a majority from the Popular Party, considers that the inaction of Sánchez's government, which has already extended the budgets in 2024 and 2025 and still hasn't presented those for the current year, violates the prerogatives established for Parliament by Article 134.5 of the Constitution. Here it is established that once the budgets are approved, the government may present bills that increase public spending or decrease the revenues corresponding to the same budget year. All the budget modifications that are being made to the extended 2023 budgets, they claim that this constitutes a fraud on the constitutional obligation to present new budgets, the constitutional obligation to present new budgets, and they violate the legislative authority of the Senate. This is what the conflict of powers filed by the Senate with a majority from the People's Party says against this way of governing by Pedro Sánchez without presenting budgets. I have to remind you of Pumpido's ambition for a post on the Council of State, because in the end we're also talking about how Pumpido is already preparing things with Sánchez, right? With all these little favors he's doing, he's preparing his immediate future. In the upcoming ruling, the Constitutional Court will rule on the three requests from the Senate. First, on the government's non-compliance of its constitutional duty to present the General State Budget Law for the years 2024, 2025, and 2026. And whether using the extension violates the Senate's constitutional authority. Also, secondly, the request from the upper house of the Senate to declare the extensions of the budget law for the year 2023 unconstitutional and void. And finally, the Senate asks that a maximum deadline be set for the submission of the budget bill. Well, this is what the Senate is requesting. As I mentioned, the President of the Constitutional Court is still seeking to apply for a Council of State position. Specifically, the one currently held by the former Vice President of the government of José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, María Teresa Fernández de la Vega. Therefore, he needs to earn merits to get that position in the Council of State. This is the information we revealed in precautionary measures about the President of the Constitutional Court, Conde-Pumpido. Conde-Pumpido. He is maneuvering to declare it constitutional for Pedro Sánchez to govern without presenting new general state budgets. These are budgets that have been extended since 2023. To do this with the Conde-Pumpido, he has created a working group made up of leftist lawyers, mostly from the Constitutional Court, so that they issue a report stating that governing without new general state budgets is constitutional. And in this way, he keeps doing another favor for Pedro Sánchez, so that the Prime Minister can stay in La Moncloa. This is the information we are revealing, and of course, any updates that happen regarding this matter, where are you going to find them? Well, right here, where else, on Medidas Cautelares. That's it for this edition of Medidas Cautelares. I hope you enjoyed the video, the new conspiracy of Conde-Pumpido. And if that's the case, you already know that you can leave your comments, share the video with whoever you want, and share your opinions. You can also become members like the chosen ones for less than €3 a month, or like the supreme ones for less than €7 a month. Plus, you can make contributions via Bizum. You already know that these are transfers from your mobile in a simpler way. You just need to enter the phone number of Medidas Cautelares, which is 627556370. 627556370, and you make the contributions you can, whenever you want. Of course, anything is welcome and appreciated. Thank you very much to everyone for your attention. The most important thing, as I always say, is that this information reaches everyone, because information is power. See you soon.